plan. So what is seed? The idea, the topic, the problem which you are thinking. So that is the pre-incubation. Then when you are going to formulate it into a certain plan, means initially you are having an idea in your mind, then you have started just noting down on your pen and paper. It means you are planning something, you are preparing a model, you are making a business plan. That is what the incubation is actually. You are searching what kind of requirements, what kind of facilities, and which particular places where you'll be getting all these facilities, so that you can design your you can convert your idea into a product. So that is what the incubation is. Means whatever the idea you are having, you are going to now formulate it. Once you are capable to convert your idea into some particular prototype, then what is your requirement? Now I need to test it into a market or among certain customers. So what you'll be doing? You'll be doing some fine tuning depending upon the requirement. You'll be doing some survey. You'll be taking the feedback from that particular survey. Accordingly, you are going to fine tune it. Then at the same time, you'll be searching. There must be some venture capitals who is going to provide the funds. You have developed a prototype, but you don't have a sufficient fund to convert into an actual product which could be launched into a market. It means you require some funds and all the kind of supports. Even if you have money, you have converted into a product, then who is going to launch into the market? Who is going to give the brand name? Who is going to give the stamp? Who is going to give the quality certificate? So all the acceleration means there you need to identify how to raise the fund, how to identify if you have to accelerate it onto a larger scale, you need sufficient workforces. So that is the stage 3. Once you are able to convert and once you are able to get the VCs also, then what is the last step? You have to fight in the market. You have to prove best your product into the market depending upon the customer requirements. If required, some optimization needs to be done. So that is actually the venturing. If you have started initially a very small startup, I must say, and some big brand companies, like you can say if you have developed some automobile things and there is a company Hyundai, if that particular company approached to you, okay, now you can sell this particular product to us and we'll have a certain like ratio of the revenue in that particular terms. So venture is actually who is going to push you in the market, who is going to support you in the market, or under which particular umbrella you are going to survive over there. Otherwise, if there is no big brand, the persons, the force via which you are capable to survive, via which you are growing day by day, you are expanding your business, that is the stage 4. So this is actually the 4 stages of the startups you can understand. And among these stages, you can see how much risk is involved, right? Because initially you are having an idea, you are going to convert it. Whatever the basic amount you are having, you are just invested it. Sometimes what happens? When you are going to convert it into a product, even a prototype, I must say, then initially you may think I was having this much of the amount, this is also being exhausted, but I was not capable to do this particular thing, or this particular thing, whatever I have developed, this is of no use. So that is what the risk factor needs to be calculated. Here you can see the startup financing cycle. You can see this orange one curve. Here, initially, valley of death, you have some idea, you have started working on that, you have invested sufficient amount of, time also matters. Doesn't matter, you have invested money, that is a loss. Loss of time is also a loss. So time also matter, right? Sorry. Valley of death, you have started, but you are not able to cope up. Or sometimes, depending upon the situation, you have started a business. Initially, there is no profit. You are investing the money from your pocket. But at a certain point, you reach, which is the break-even point, where you are talking about no profit, no loss. Whatever I am investing, that is totally being invested. But after this break-even point, whatever you are investing, you are getting something out from that. That is the early stage of the startup financing. early stages, you can see a very small steps are there. You may get the benefits not only in monetary terms, in the terms of the customer satisfactions, in the terms of the more networking, very small steps. But at a later stage, once it is being streamlined, it is being identified, stabilized, after this stabilization, there will be a sufficient growth. And one time it will be identified, which is the initial public offering, where you are able to convert your idea into a product. You are having a sufficient funds, you are having a sufficient networks, and now you are capable to offer it to the market. Initially to a smaller network, then offering to the public. Right? So this is how this financing cycle startup takes place. So see, if you have some idea, initially you are going to discuss among your friends. Once friends approve, then you go for the bigger circuit. Then you go for the bigger circuit. This is how actually the startup works. So this was just the basic about what do you understand by this. Why we have talked about startup? Because today's session is about the National Innovation and Startup Policy, right? So NISP, this is an initiative of MHRD, which is Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, in association with AICTE, that is All India Council of Technical Education. So NISP is actually a guiding framework for higher education institutions, HEIs. HEIs, mostly you use this particular term. So this is a guiding framework because NISP promotes innovation and startup. That is why I have taken some small time to make you aware about the startup. I know most of you must be aware and you must be having some ideas or you must be working something into this particular direction. But I thought it's my duty to be aware about this startups, right? So NISP is actually the initiatives. This NISP, it was not means this policy is being framed in year 2019, but actually this was the initiative of the AICTE institutions, and it was initiated in November 2016. So initially it was only for the AICTE affiliated institutions. Then they have made the startup policy, done various meetings, and after various modifications, after so many, I think 15th meeting, after 15th level of modifications and discussions, the final NISP is being deliberated, and that is being released in year 2019. So this is about the background. What is the policy background? You can get the same document. You can get the document on the website as well. So what was the preamble? Preamble, as I've told you, that initially the focus was the AICTE approved institution, so that a startup action plan can be initiated, can be carried out by the Government of India, and later on it has been formulated for all higher education institutions. So that was the preamble of the NISP. What is the vision? See, as all of us are aware that in our India, or in our educational institutions, especially the institutions which are governing from some universities, or you can say self-financing institutions, there is a lack of cultural and attitudinal approach for the innovation and startups. There is a majority of focus is on studies. Like you have to maintain your marks, you have to maintain your CGPA, you have to achieve your rank in the university and all. So we don't have that particular kind of culture, right? Nowadays, from last 5 years, it is being like inculcated along, but still lot of things needs to be done. So the vision behind this NISP was to make the culture in the environment, to make the culture in the institutions, in the like education system, so that the innovation and startup can be carried out. It can be pushed up. It can be like approached and identified at a higher level also. And whenever there is a requirement to do certain things, and there must be some policy and the guidelines. So that is what the vision of the NISP. Now, let's talk about the policy guidelines, because whenever you have to implement something, you have to execute something. So for that, implementation, execution means planning, execution, and lot number of guidelines are there. Just like you people are studying in your 4 years, number of subjects. So what do you have to study in the first year, second year, third year? You may get certain options, but there is a path which you have to follow. And at the end, what you are going to get? You are going to get the degree. Right? So this is how means there is a guidelines how to do the BTech, how to do a particular program, how to do a particular task in a particular environment. Similarly, NISP policy guidelines are also there. So NISP policy guidelines is basically for the strategies and governance, startups enabling institutional infrastructure, nurturing innovation and startups, product ownership rights and technologies developed at the institute, organizational capacity, human resources, incentives. Next is the creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs, norms for faculty and startups, pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development. Next, collaboration, co-creation, business relationship, and knowledge exchange. And the last is the entrepreneurial impact assessment. Whatever you have designed, whatever you have done, what is its impact? Whatever you have studied in your 4 years of your BTech, its impact, it could be seen in terms of your placement. It could be seen in the terms of your marks. So what is the overall impact? So this is about the policy guidelines, right? So here I'll be talking one-to-one about the guidelines, and see, all the guidelines, these are very interesting, need not to learn or need not to mug up anything. You can understand the things in a very precise and in a very systematic manner. So let's start first, strategic and governance. What do you mean by this strategic and governance? Strategic and governance means whenever you have to do something, you need some planning. You need some fund. You need how that particular idea or that particular plan is going to be sustained, right? So this is about the strategy and governance. You have to find out the way in which your plan is going to be materialized, right? So what happens actually, entrepreneurship promotions and development, if we talk about, that is one of the major challenge in the higher education institutions. And to facilitate the culture of innovation, startups, there must be some strategy. And for that particular, the very important and very basic point, resource mobilization. Until unless you don't have any resource doesn't mean in the terms of money only. Resource means the overall things. You must be having certain infrastructure, you must be requiring certain books, you must be requiring certain trainings. So resource mobilization plan. This resource mobilization plan, every institute should work out. And this is the only plan which is going to support pre-incubation, incubation infrastructure and facilities. See, it doesn't mean if you have some idea that is going to be converted into a product. No, not necessary. Might be possible out of 100, only one idea may be converted into a product. But it doesn't mean all the ideas are going to be vanished at the initial stage. No. Some of the ideas may be cancelled out, may be vanished at the pre-incubation stage. Some may be at the VC, some may be during the other stages because of the lack of other resources and all. So resource mobilization plan, which is very, very important. And in this resource mobilization plan, what is to be done? See, every institute is having certain annual budget allocation. So among that budget allocation, at least 1% of the total fund must be utilized. It is the actually requirement or the conditions or the suggestions from the NISP that at least 1% of the total fund must be dedicated for the entrepreneurship related activities, right? So in that particular way, the faculty members, the staff or the students who are associated with a startup entrepreneurship related task, they will feel strengthened that they have something in their hand. Means at any particular stage of time, the student might not be capable to invest such an amount. So depending upon the requirement, depending upon the perfect evaluation, it doesn't mean someone has asked me ROP of 50K for a project, I am going to assign it. No. First, I means there must be a committee. That committee is going to review, and according to the decision of the committee, the amount is going to be released for that particular project. So here, what is the requirement is initially 1% of the total fund must be allocated for entrepreneurship related activities. Sometimes what happens, 1% of the fund is not sufficient, or sometimes because of some constraint, we may not be having this particular fund also. So the fund can be raised from the diverse sources also. Means just to reduce the pressure on the management and the like institute itself, the fund can be raised from the government organizations also, like DST. You can apply there, you can apply in DTB, you can apply in Nisp, you can apply in AICTE. So there are various other sources via which fund can also be raised. Similarly, nowadays, every corporate is having a CSR cell. CSR is what? Corporate social responsibility. So the responsibility of this particular cell is to interact with the institutes, to collaborate with the institutes and provide the support to institute, not only in terms of monetary, in terms of training, in terms of expert talk, in terms of other things, right? So it means if there is a collaboration with some CSR cell, in that particular way also our startup or entrepreneurship cell, which is of the college, of the institute, that could also be supported, right? At the same time, institute may also raise the fund through some sponsorship or from some donations. There must be some like linking or network from the alumni as well. See, the students who are passing from our institute, they are always very happy when they have been called for some collaboration. Whenever you invite any of the pass out student, you say alumni. Whenever you try to approach any alumni, that student, that always feels proud about their own institution, right? So alumni who are working in a good organizations, they can also contribute in one or the another manner. Actually, in this way, innovation and entrepreneurship culture among our institute can be inculcated, can be flourished. So this is about the strategy and governance. At the same time, you must also remember, you must also listen carefully that what happens, there must be some e-cell in the institute. There must be some committee about which all the students, faculty and staff must be aware. See, if you require anything, if you have to go for certain training, suppose a faculty member has to go for a particular training program, it need not like that the faculty member has to apply for leave without pay, then that particular faculty is going for the training program. No, there must be certain process, and that particular process must be very transparent. That process must be very transparent, and that must be all the members must be aware about that.
Good afternoon, Dr. Sapna. आपकी
Yes,
पीपीटी स्टॉप हुई हुई है. पीपीटी मोड में से स्टार्ट कर लें प्लीज.
okay. Right.
Thank you.
So there, sir, I was talking about the governance only. That is why you can see this particular. So there must be the transparency, and there must be a very transparent and streamlined system. If a person is putting certain application, that person need not to move from one cabin to the another cabin. There will be energy loss, there will be a demotivation, that nothing is going to happen over there, right? So this is about the overall strategies and the governance. Next is startups enabling institutional infrastructure. Startups enabling institutional infrastructure. So here, what is our requirement is, you can understand the infrastructural related things. Means whatever you are going to do, you must be having some initial facilities, right? There must be some facility within your institution. If your institution is not having that particular facility for the innovation and startups, you must be searching the facilities in a nearby location. So what the institute can do, institute can provide the facilities, list of like facilities in the nearby areas where you can approach, where you can get facilitated so that you can incubate your ideas. So all higher education institutions are advised to create such type of facilities within the institution. Means each and every institute must be having a IIC, MHRD cell, or innovation cell, or entrepreneurship development cell, or sometimes our students clubs also. See, students are having a lots of energy, they are having a lots of idea. The only thing what we have to do to channelize their energy, to channelize their idea, to motivate them. See, you must remember, each and every idea is not going to be converted into a startup, right? So startup is the entrepreneur and there is a leader. So that leader can be assisted by many persons. Means if there are a number of persons, so out of that particular group, one could be a leader who is going to convert his idea into a product and other will join them. Others can join as a startup. So you must remember this. So it means, what is the basic requirement of an institution? There must be an innovation cell, there must be a IIC or any student club, because of which some activities used to be conducted so that all of us will be aware about it. Plus, the another requirement is what? We are having the facility, but if that particular facility is not going to be accessed by the student, faculty and staff, that is of no use. It means the pre-incubation, incubation facility, it must be accessible to 24/7 for all the staffs and all. And there must be some kind of mentoring. Mentoring doesn't mean if a person is going on to some particular idea, he is getting the mentoring, he is getting the services only by putting certain amount of fee. No, mentoring may be their institutional innovation cell or EDC or any particular cell that is having some networking with the other industry professionals. So that particular industry professional, depending upon the area of the problem, that person can like guide the students, right? So what is actually happening? The thing is, whatever the student or a faculty or a person is doing, that is to be carried out, right? Whether we are having a facility or not, if we don't have any facility, we have to provide the facilities from the neighboring institutions. Next, a very interesting point, which is the nurturing innovation and startup. Means this is an important point. As if you are taking care of a plant, whenever you require, this plant must grow. The same manner, whatever the idea a person is having, you have to nurture it. It means you have to provide all kind of support, a positive environment where you must encourage that particular person also. If required, you must provide the facility to that particular person time to time. So first and foremost requirement is pre-incubation and incubation support. Pre-incubation support, I'm always talking about, you are having some idea, but who is there to validate your idea, whether it is feasible or not? So there must be some that particular kind of facility. There must be some persons or some senior persons from the institutes or some faculty members from the institute who are from background of the entrepreneurship or humanities background. They can carry some training programs in IPR and all, so that they can guide the students further. They can motivate the students further. So what happened? What kind of innovation and support we need to provide? Suppose a student is studying in your institution. That student is initiating some startup, working on his or her idea. What happens at some particular point of time, if that person realizes now it's time to register the company, So if that particular person, he or she is your student, the institute may please provide the address of the institution on that particular registration ID with due permission of the institute only. What kind of another motivation can be done? If a student is doing on certain projects, certain work, and you think means there must be a committee. If that committee find out that this is a fruitful work or the student is working hard, and in case there is some percentage where the student is lacking, suppose 75% attendance is mandatory to be appear into the examination, but if that particular attendance is not sufficient over there, student is lacking by 10%, 15%, so what you can do? You can provide the relaxation to the student so that that particular student can appear into the examination, right? This is this kind of support. See, our institutions are from the university affiliated self-finance, so we don't have any flexibility. But in university's curriculum, students can earn some credits while studying, while working on for a startup, while working for some project, while working for some idea into a product development. Student can earn certain credits, which is going to be added into the final evaluation. So this kind of support a student is getting. If we talk about the faculty members, if the faculty is performing something, if the faculty is being involved somewhere and faculty needs certain training, so that particular duration of leave or that particular support must be provided to the faculty. There may be some relaxation in the teaching load. There may be some relaxation if it is being found out that that person needs a break of 3 to 6 months. That particular break can also be provided to the faculty or the students. So this is all the policy incentives to the faculty, students and staff. And in private organizations, we don't adhere there, no hindrance about the promotions and all. But what happened in the government system, if you have taken a leave of a 3 months or a 6 months, then that leave or break may impact upon your promotion also. So NISP says if a person who is working for this particular noble cause, don't stop the promotions, don't stop any kind of increments. So this is all kind of support is being provided. See, support may be a short-term training, 6 months training, 1 year training, some mentorship programs, mentorship time to time. Suppose now I am working, I need a mentoring from some IoT related expert. So that is being provided. In a coming time, I have to make a business plan so that I can launch this particular product into a market. So I need some financial assistance, financial management, some business plan assistance, some fundraising assistance. So that kind of assistance can also be provided. But what happened? This is a one way. Institute is doing for the student, institute is doing for the faculty, institute is doing for the staff. But what in return the institute is going to get? So in return, to these services and facilities which have been provided to the faculty, staff and students, institute may take 2 to 9.5% of equity or stake in the startup or company. This share may vary, but minimum 2%, not less than 9.5%, because after that there is no liability, legal liability of the institute. Depending upon the brand used, what kind of contribution is being done by the faculty, which kind of support is being provided by the institute, this share can be adjusted accordingly. So this is what in return to the facilities which is being provided by the institute can demand. Then the product ownership rights for the technologies development. Here we are talking about the rights. See, if a faculty student has done something within the institute by using the institute facilities, institute funds, then what is going to be happen? IPR will be jointly owned by inventors and institute both, right? Faculty, student, staff and the institute. But on the other hand, if we say a group of faculty and student have done something, but without using any institute facility, right? And even beyond the office hours. Faculty is not requested to reduce any teaching load. Faculty is not requested for any leave. Then the IPR will be entirely owned by the inventors. Depending upon the proportion, what the proportion the inventors themselves suggest. Right, as if you people are doing some final year project and there is a group of 4 persons. So what we used to ask, what is your contribution? What is your contribution? So depending upon the contribution, this particular share can be adjusted. Sometimes there might be a condition that a dispute may arise, right? So that is also a condition. So what happened to handle that particular disputes in the ownership? There is a requirement of a committee. That committee must be a 5-member committee. Out of those 5-member committee, 2 members must be the faculty, right? This is a very important point. 2 members must be the faculty who are having a background of entrepreneurship, IPR related things and decision making in the product development. Plus 2 alumni or industry professionals. 2 faculty, 2 alumni and industry professionals, same from the same background, and 1 legal advisor with the experience of IPR. So this particular team with a member of 5, they will examine the overall issue and accordingly this decision will be given by this particular committee, and whatever the decision is given by this committee will always be acceptable by the inventor and by the institute, right? So this is a very important point. Another point, the institute IPR cell or incubation center, it must have a coordinator or the facilitator, and that particular coordinator and facilitator is going to provide the services and will be a SPOC, you can say, single point of contact for all the things. And as we all are aware that nowadays it's a time for our interdisciplinary research. So we must also encourage the interdisciplinary research, collaborations for the product development also. So that is also a very important point that we must promote interdisciplinary. And nowadays it's a very important requirement that for patent filing some IPR related expert must be there. If there is not dedicated expert, we the faculty members, we the students, we can do a number of courses are available on the NPTEL, Coursera. So by using that particular courses, by doing those courses, will we get aware about the things. Next is the organizational capacity, human resources and incentives. Organizational capacity means there must be a faculty, staff or a senior person, or may not be senior in the experience, senior maybe in terms of the knowledge, in terms of the exposure, who is having a strong innovation and entrepreneurial industrial experience. At the same time, behavior and attitude. If I don't know anything, if I know less, I am having a habit of reading something, I have a habit of listening something, and if I'll be get trained by someone, I'll be able to develop myself. So that kind of person must be responsible for this particular kind of self. There must be some activities also. Sometimes some subject matter experts, like for entrepreneurship, for business plan development, for product development, for patent filing. These kinds of expert talks can also be conducted. Experts may be from industry, maybe our alumni. See, as if I'm always telling you, students are having lots of energy. We know much more than us. So our alumni who have been working who have been studying in our institute, they know about the strength of the institute. Now they are working into the industry, so they know the industry requirement also. So they know what is the gap between industry academia, how the student can be trained so that whatever the passion they have, they can fulfill it. All right. So students, faculty must be encouraged for this particular kind of programs, trainings. As if in our institute, we have the annual events, so we can have some events based on the entrepreneurship. So that is what the requirement is. And if we talk about the incentives, So it's always a very encouraging thing. Incentives, again, it doesn't mean in terms of monitoring. Not always, but it may be in terms of reward. Incentives may be in terms of the leaves, incentives may be in terms of the promotion, incentives may be in terms of the like appraisals for the faculty members, incentive may be in terms of the attendance percent, maybe for like credits for the students' point of view. Incentives may be using some additional facilities. So these are kinds of the incentives and reward mechanism which is actually being required for the institute. And you must always remember that if there is a provision of incentive reward mechanism, it means proper selection must be done. Therefore, a performance matrix needs to be prepared. Performance matrix of overall thing, as if we used to do in the case of the NBA, National Board of Accreditation. There is a very beautiful like matrix for the project evaluation and all. For each and everything is being mentioned, low, medium, high. If you have done this, if you can rate your task up to low level, 1 will be given, medium level 2 will be given, high 3 will be given. Accordingly, some performance matrix must be arranged. So that will gives a clarity, that will gives a transparency. People will trust you. Whatever you are rewarding, whatever you are doing, whatever you are identifying, that is on a right track. Then creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs at institute level. Everything needs to be provided by the institute, to be done by the faculty and the staff and the student. But when they will be aware about the things, what the facility we are having, what is the importance of this in our career, it means we have to spread the awareness. Students, staff, faculty must be taught about the innovation, how they can apply their knowledge to solve any social problems. The social problem is Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. What the objective is the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Whatever is the problem of the society, that is to be treated. Their solution needs to be recommended. So whatever we know, must be applied to solve the societal problem, must be able to solve the customer's problem. So for this, when we will be aware, we will be getting a surrounding, we will be encouraged, then students and faculty will do it. So to encourage the students, some entrepreneurial mindset, experiential learning is required. So for that, boot camp, expert talk, hackathon, workshops, or other innovative competitions must be arranged, must be conducted. That will give a rhythm, that will give an environment in the institute, means there is a culture, right? And to prepare the students for creating startups, it means to promote them, to facilitate them, to provide all the required services. IIC is already there in your institute. So when you will be aware, when you will be motivated, when you are going to get that particular culture in your institute, IIC is already there. There must be some other student clubs. You will definitely be achieving something. Whatever the idea you'll be having, you must be able to convert it into a certain thing. Norms for the faculty startups. This is also very interesting. What is the norms for the faculty startups? See, role of the faculty may vary. A faculty may be a teaching faculty. A faculty may be a teaching faculty, plus beyond teaching, there may be a vertical. So faculty may be a owner or the direct promoter or a mentor, as if I'm teaching to you, but I am not guiding you anything in the like startup, but I can mentor you in the area of IoT. That could be my role, right? So at the same time, because faculties are mentoring students, faculties are working along with the students, group who's working for this startup, that group may be of students, group may be of faculty, that group may be of staff, or a group of faculty, staff, students, anything. But whenever a faculty is doing something for the startups, so that faculty is not going to interact or not going to involve the other faculties who are working for the research work or related to their departments or the institute. So the research staff and other staff that must be separate for the staff who is working for the startups. Few people may be common, but it doesn't mean whosoever is good in the research, we must pull that particular person. So a person who is good in research may not be good into a idea development or a idea creation. So faculty must be separate, faculty must be dedicated. If there is a common faculty who is involved in teaching along with the startup or the idea conversion, so their teaching load can be reduced. At the same time, there must be a policy on conflicts of interest, because this is a very required policy. Because it is not because of this policy, the regular duties of a faculty is not going to impact. The regular duties of a faculty is not going to happen, right? So these are the norms. Just like a norm of the faculty startups may be that for particular or the faculty who is involved in the startup, the faculty is not going to receive any gift. Faculty is not going to interact or not going to use the research of any other faculty who is involved in a particular department. So these are the certain norms. Pedagogy and learning interventions. Pedagogy means we have to, it's a required thing. We have to leave the traditional way of teaching. The classroom teaching, the board teaching, no. There must be some pedagogical learning. You know that group learning is always the preferred one, right? So the pedagogical teaching, where the students interact with the other fellows, where the faculty interacts with the other fellows, means there must be some student clubs, bodies in the institute, departments who is organizing events, where student of one department 1 year may interact with the other, may share the knowledge, may exchange the ideas, may work together. Institute can start annual innovation and entrepreneurship award to recognize the outstanding ideas. See what happened, where we are lacking actually. Some of our students, they are having a very good idea, but what happened when they used to share their ideas with their peer group, some of them used to demoralize. What you are going to do? Yaar, ye kuch nahi hone wala, padhai kar lo. Otherwise, some of the time, we as a faculty members, we can also say, beta padhai kar lo, isi se number aane, isse kuch nahi hone wala. See, it means whatever the student is having in their mind, and if that person is having the capability, we must promote. And how we are going to promote, how we are going to inculcate the culture in our institute, means we can start our annual event. We can create awareness. When we are teaching to the student, we must share the real life experiences. Sometimes, see, startup is not always a successful. Some startups are the failures also. So we must share the case studies, business failures also. At the same time, we must be capable. We must be able to accept, and we must tolerate the failures also. We must encourage failures also. It's okay, बेटा अभी ये नहीं हुआ, but in future ऐसा नहीं है, इससे डरने की जरूरत नहीं है, निराश होने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप करो, you can do it, you have a potential. It means हमारा system, our system is actually not designed for that particular thing. Our system is not ready to accept the failures, but we must be having that particular courage that it's okay, we are with you. Our society is not designed in that particular manner, right? So accordingly, we must nominate innovation champions also among the students, faculties, and staff. Means what we have to do, we have to change the traditional way of teaching. We have to give them real ideas. We have to motivate them. We have to provide those kind of supports, provide them organizing competitions and all. So this is what the learning interventions. Collaboration, co-creation, business relation, knowledge exchange. This is what is actually networking. See, stakeholders, faculty, student, staff, director of the institution, chairman of the institution, each and every person is a stakeholder. But do you know there are some external stakeholders? Parents of a student, alumni, or the company where your alumni is working, they are also the stakeholders. It means each and every stakeholder is having a huge responsibility on their shoulders. So everybody's involvement, inclusion is involved. It means we must encourage, we must conduct some networking events also. Networking events where there will be only an interaction of our staff, students, faculty with the outside world, so that they can look up, they can interact, they can find out what is actually being happening, what is actually the requirement, what kind of support we can get. Means we have to encourage, we have to arrange the networking events, and overall on this, a mechanism should be developed within the institute. Right, within the institute, a mechanism must be like in such a manner, if I have taken the idea, I must not work too much for getting the permission to work in a lab, for getting a permission to go for a training. If I'll be involved, if I'll be like dissipating or investing so much of energy in getting the permission by writing so many applications, getting the permission from by not attending the classes, getting the permission for going training outside, then the energy which I'm going to focus for the program, that is not going to be fulfilled. So clear, transparent system mechanism must be there. And if we are conducting any event, that event must not be an end, right? That event conduction, that is just for the awareness, to encourage students. Other than the focus is to convert your idea into the product. This is what the requirement is actually. Collaborate, make your own network, create, do the business relations, exchange knowledges. A student from electronics may work with a mechanical. If a problem is of computer vision, so student of electronics and computer science may work together and perform better. So this kind of like group making and research environment must be encouraged. And the last important point is entrepreneurial impact assessment. Whatever you are doing, you have studied one subject, you are going to write a paper, you will be getting certain internal and certain externals. That is what the assessment is. Similar kind of assessment must be done for the entrepreneurial related activities or the ideas or the startups. There must be a committee. That particular committee must be evaluating time to time, must be giving honest feedback. Doesn't mean if one student group is very close to me, I'm going to give the positive feedback to that particular group and the negative feedback to other group. But in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm actually creating a gap for that particular group to whom I'm thinking I'm doing a favor. They are not going to be successful in a future. Means honest feedback must be available. So that particular committee will be doing what? Initially, starting from the ideas. If you have released a notice where the idea submission, pitching is to be done, then out of those certain ideas will be selection for the incubation support, then VC support. So at each and every step, the committee will be assessing that. Monitoring, evaluation. See, as if 10 startups, 10 ideas we have selected, and out of 10, after the completion of 3 years, only one idea is going to be materialized. It means how many startups created? 1. But impact should not be measured in the failure term. Out of 10, only one idea is being converted into a product. No. 1 is the successful idea. 9 ideas reached up to a certain particular level. But out of those 9, what could be done better in future? So impact should be measured in terms of number of successful startups created. At the same time, how many students and faculty members got motivated? How many students and faculty members have applied for patent? How many students and faculty members have done how many trainings, and how many of them are mentoring to others? If I'm not capable to convert an idea into a product, it doesn't mean I cannot mentor you, right? So this could be There must be some linkages, industry linkages. So it means commercialization is not the only thing where impact analysis, impact assessment could be done. So entrepreneurial assessment can be done in an overall manner. What kind of culture in my institute is? How the students are motivating. It doesn't mean students are leaving their academic classes and running behind the startups. No, we always have to make a balance in between those two. What kind of culture is, what kind of support is, what kind of rhythm is among the student. If the student are sitting in a canteen, in a cafeteria also, they are discussing something about the innovation. They are discussing something about the patents, how to file a patent. Let's collaborate, me and you. I have this particular idea, you have this strength. Let's work together, right? So this is all kind of, this is what our requirement. This is all kind of indicators that we are moving forward. So just let me summarize you, because this session was about the NISP. So I have told you about the policy guidelines. What is the policy guideline? What is actually the expectation of the MHRD, AICTE and the Government of India? That we must have a culture in our institute so that the faculty, students and staff members will be benefited from that, will be motivated from that. At the same time, we must also encourage students that beyond teaching, beyond academics, by maintaining a good academic record, you must initiate your ideas. If required, you must provide all the facilities. Even if we don't have any facilities, we must utilize our contacts. We must request to other institutes that provide the facilities to our institute. So the overall objective of this NISP was to inculcate the culture of entrepreneurship and startup. It will start from us only. First, we have to think, then our students will think, there will be a culture in our institute, in your institute, then in our country itself. So with this thing, I would like to thank you all for listening it very carefully. If you would like to ask me something, you can ask me, please. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. If anyone has any doubt, feel free to ask. Sapna ma'am is here to shout out them. Please ask if there is any doubt.
You can note down my email ID also. Even if after this particular session, you will think that I have this particular doubt and I was not able to ask in that particular session, you can write me an email. Just mention your institute name in the subject. Don't forget to mention your institute name.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. It is very nice for you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this enhanced informative session. Now at the last, I would like to hand over this session to Sukhpreet ma'am for vote of thanks. Thank you.
It was a great session, ma'am. I, on behalf of Institution Innovation Council of Access Colleges, may like to express my sincere thanks to Sapna ma'am for giving an excellent coverage and providing broader insight on national innovation and startup policy. Also, I would like to thank Director Sir Dr. Ashish Malik and Chairman Sir Mr. Raj Kushwaha for their extended support to conduct the session and letting everyone get such an information about national innovation and startup policy. It was a great session, ma'am. With these kind words, we conclude the session and look forward for many such sessions in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.